Sofabaton recently launched their U3 Remote, aiming to target a different audience than their flagship models, the X2 and X1S. Now in this video, I'll go over what you get in the box, my setup experience, and try to answer the question, who exactly is this remote for? Now, before we dive in and get started, Sofabaton did provide both the U3 Remote and U3 dock you see in this video. However, all thoughts and opinions here are my own. They are not forcing me to be positive here. I've actually reviewed a couple other Sofabaton products previously, the X2 and the X1S. Both of those videos, I had things I loved about the remotes and things that I think need improvement. And this video will be no different, but I just wanted to get that out of the way, give you guys full disclosure. So we have the U3 Remote and U3 dock here, and these are kind of different from Sofabaton's other offerings. At first glance, it may look like that the U3 is just a pared back X2 or X1S, when I don't really think that's the case, and I'll try to answer that throughout this video. Now, there's no hub that's included here. There's no IR splitters or IR repeaters that are included with this. This remote does require direct line of sight, and I think that that's probably the biggest difference between something like the X2 or the X1S. I should say also that this remote comes in at $129.99 at the time of this recording. The dock itself here is about a $30 extra purchase. However, if you bundle this with this is 10 bucks. So just add $10, you get the dock. Might be worth it for you if you're going that route. We'll just open this up. So you get a manual here. Like with most of Sofabaton's other products, or I want to say all, it requires setup via an app on your phone. So we're going to be doing that later when we go over to the theater room. Then we get the actual remote here. We'll skip over that just real quick because there's not much else in the box. This is a little box here, and I'm pretty sure that this is just the charging cable that I cannot get out. We're just looking at a simple USB-C to USB-A charging cable. So kind of par for the course. We'll just go ahead and unwind this here. Say this is a 1 meter cable, so maybe about 3 feet. Probably wouldn't say that you could use a remote and charge at the same time if you're not within a wall outlet, but honestly, the remote lasts long enough that you set this on charge overnight. May not need to worry about that too much. Let's kind of open the remote here. All right, so before first use, charge the remote to wake it up. That's kind of par for the course. So we do get a 2.4-inch LCD screen here. This is color. Obviously, it is not touchscreen, I believe, so no touchscreen functionality there. We do get a little scrolly, clicky wheel. We have a little button on the side here for the air mouse itself, I believe. We have the IR blaster up top here, charging port on the bottom. I don't know if you can see this, but we do have metal contacts right here as well that are going to be used for the charging dock, which we'll unbox in a second, along with the USB-C charging port. So we're going to plug this in for the first time on camera, and we'll see what we get. Okay, so it is currently charging. No devices found. Add device in app. This just booted right up. We do have a full charge here. Might be kind of hard to see from the overhead cam there. But yes, we do get a full color screen. Obviously, like I said, no touch screen or anything like that. We have macros and things like that that are not found, obviously. So we'll set that off to the side here, and we'll dive into the U3 dock here as well. I suspect this will be an even simpler unboxing here. So just open her on up, get to the side here. Yoop. Yoop. All right, so user manual. I honestly don't think like you need too much here because, I mean, it's a charging dock. It'll just kind of let you tell you what to do, I guess. So a little charging brick. I like this. It's pretty slim. It's not super bulky, so this should work for most surge protectors and not interfere with other plugs that are right next to it. We get the charging dock itself. We have the logo right on the front here, so that will tell you where it's going to face. So the Sofabaton logo is going to be out front. Charging indicator on the front, metal contacts on the inside for charging the remote, and then we have a USB port on the back that we plug into the wall outlet. So then we also get, which I'm going to assume is the same charging cable we got inside the Sofabaton remote, just to get one for the dock as well. So we have the USB-C to USB-A cable. I kind of like the black styling of this more than the X2. The thing with the X2 is it's all silver, and I'm just more of a fan of like black styling on products. So like the X2 has a silver base, like for the charging base. This part is silver. The X2 has a textured back that's easier to grip. The overall finish here, while it doesn't feel maybe as premium, this is all basically ABS and silicone. Honestly, this remote is around $130 and I do feel like it's pretty solid. It's also pretty lightweight and I really like that. We could sit here and continue talking about this. However, I think setting it up and going to talk about it in the theater room is probably a better idea. So let's go ahead and do that. Alrighty, we're here in the theater room now. I have my phone and my Sofabaton ready, and we're gonna set this up. Basically, I wanna try to do this in as real time as possible, just to show you how things go. I'll probably fast forward through certain sections because sometimes syncing can take a little while. Although this one is gonna be a little different. Like I mentioned, there's no hub or anything like that. We got line of sight here. I have another camera so you can kind of see as I test things out and turn things on and off and things like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and open the Sofabaton app here. So from the main menu, we have the U3, U1, U2. So we basically select the remote that we have. And then I selected the U3. It's gonna have me hold the bottom two buttons until waiting for app appears, and there it goes. And then I'm going to select this device, want to upgrade the firmware. So right away we have a firmware upgrade. That's nice. Curious how long this is going to take. So we're just going to let this thing run its course. All right, the firmware update just finished. The phone is rebooting. So now we're on the main screen. So we want to add devices. So I know that most of everything in here is infrared. I believe the Apple TV may be Bluetooth, but we're going to go through each one here. So we're going to start with IR. We're going to search in the database, and I'm just going to start with my LG C1. So we can search by brand. We'll go to LG, and then we're going to go find our C1, which is, it's a 77 inch. We can narrow it down. And I know that mine ends in PUB. There it is. And then we could test the power. All right. And our display just turned on. So yep, we got our screensaver there. So then we can just test the power again. Got it turned off. Perfect. I'm not going to worry about the common commands for right now. Power work, but we can test everything if we wanted to. We'll hit next. I'm gonna go to IR emitter settings, hit next again. We'll select the U3 remote, and then we'll hit complete. So it's going to say download the actual device settings for the remote and then transfer them over to the remote. This is very similar to how the X2 and the X1S remotes operated. And wow, that was actually very, very quick. One of the complaints I had with the X2 and the X1S is it took a while for the hub to transfer everything. It just was not quick. So that was super quick. I already have the LG listed on the remote here. So the syncing was really fast. It's going to give us some multiple power commands detected. The power button is set to power toggle by default, which is fine. So that basically when you turn it on, it turns everything on or off. So we can go ahead and test it again by hitting the power button. I could see the LG light blinking, and now that that is turned on, bam, there we go. And then we'll just test it again by hitting the menu button. Oh, so that brings us to our home screen. That's cool. We can go through and adjust certain settings after the fact, but all of that stuff is customizable within the app, which is pretty cool. We'll click on add another device. I'll do IR as well. And then I'm gonna add my Denon, which is the 6300H. Let's type in 6300. There we go. And want to test the power, and it just turned on. I could hear the click. You may be able to hear it as well. All right, so we just hit it again. Everything's off. Awesome. So we'll click on next. I'm going to use the U3 remote, and we'll click on next again, and we'll hit complete. So again, it's downloading. We have multiple power commands. It's set to toggle. That's fine. Most everything that you add here is going to be just a standard toggle. Very rarely will something require a long press, at least in the devices that I've found. Okay, something I do want to talk about real quick. I will actually be going over this in the full review, but you can also purchase the R1 repeater. Everything is kind of line of sight right from my seating position here, so I shouldn't really have an issue. I will test this out for the full review. This is an additional $30 purchase, I believe. I think it goes up to $40. So you may or may not need it, but I will talk about that in the full review when I do that in a few weeks. All right, so I actually was recording this and I seem to have lost the screen recording for some reason or another. So I basically added the Apple TV LG UHD Blu-ray, and R-Volution. It all went the same as you would expect from the other devices, the LG and Denon. I know those were recorded. What I want to do real quick is create a macro. So we're going to create a new one just by tapping here. I'm going to add a step, which is the LG, and basically I want to make sure that this is on. So I'm going to click on power, and then we're going to add a step here, which is turning on the Denon. And that is power as well. All right, there we go. Confirm. All right. And then for the LG, we want to make sure that our device is on HDMI 1 for the input. Confirm. And then for our Denon, we want to make sure that we are on the media player input for the R-Volution. There we go. Confirm. Then finally, we'll add the R-Volution, and we'll make sure that is powered on as well. Confirm. So select a device to control after the macro runs. We want to control the R-Volution. Click on next. Let's call this R-Volution. Save. Perfect. So now that macro is here. There's a little macro button here. So click on that. It's running. Hearing things click. Got the LG turning on, the receiver turning on, R-Volution turning on. Everything is activated. We'll cut to the other camera here so you can see it. Perfect. Might take a second to, there we go, pop up there. This will not know the power state of your other devices. So once you turn this on, if you go to run another macro and there's power attached to that macro, so like you say, I want the LG on, I want the Denon on. If that's in the macro, it will shut those devices off. Something to keep in mind. It's kind of a little gotcha here, but you can create separate macros and just label it like, oh, watch R-Volution. If something is already powered on, you can put that in the macro. So like you aren't attaching power to something. So we have that macro set up. What's great is once we're inside, by default, it's going to basically control the R-Volution. That's great. But if you want to go and say, oh, I want to adjust the Denon volume, I could literally scroll up. Hard to see it on here. I can't really show it to you, but I can adjust the volume just by scrolling up to the device without selecting it or anything like that, and just scroll up to it, have it highlighted, adjust the volume, and then go back down to the R-Volution. If you are juggling multiple remotes already, that is not an inconvenience. I would rather use a scroll wheel, select a device, and then go from there, because now you just have one and you have all the remotes basically inside here. So that's super cool. I will say right off the bat, the quickness and overall speed of adding devices and syncing with a remote is much improved over the X2 experience with the hub. Granted, this does have more limitations, doesn't do smart home, things like that. Also in the full review, like I said, I will be adding the R1 repeater. Not that I need it, but I kind of want to see how that functions. So I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of unboxing. Just wanted to bring you guys along for my setup experience with this, kind of show you how things work and explain some things. I really feel like this remote is not intended to replace the X2 or the X1S. It's not a stripped down version. It is a version intended for a more simplistic setup that doesn't need smart home integration or anything like that. You have a few devices. You don't have devices in an equipment rack in the back of the room or behind a bunch of doors. And even then, I'm pretty sure that this guy would make sense for you there, because also something that this does allow you to do is add some IR repeaters to the back here. So that's something that could be beneficial. If you guys want me to test anything and cover that in an additional video, please let me know in the comment section below. I kind of want to just share my findings and experience with you guys. So thank you again for sticking with me here. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. Also, leave me a comment down below. If you're in the Sofabaton ecosystem, if you're wondering about this remote, if you've picked this remote up, what your experience has been like with it, because I'm really curious about that too. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.